Welcome to our Thursday night Voice of the People segment. And I got to tell y'all this as we go. We're happy and they're laughing, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to stand by this. I'm going to put the Boy Scout oath. No, I have never
That's a peace sign.
smoked anything
That's a peace
in my
sign.
life.
That's a peace sign.
Never in my life.
The Boy Scout owners like this. You was like this.
I never.
Make up your mind.
All
Are
right.
you wanting us to like go around the table, or do you want a trophy, or what?
I'm just saying.
Do you
I'm
feel
just saying.
better?
Well, it goes into our comment about morality and the evil in the world. We have picked a comment, and this is from Candace Owens. Everybody knows Candace Owens, but this is a profound comment that she made. It's non-biased. It's actually a good comment. It says, "For those of you who feel that we are in the end of times and that society has never been this evil, abundantly evil, I want you to know that it has always been this evil. We are just finally awakening to it. Our awakening is the hope. Keep the faith. In the end, goodness wins." Now,
And goodness wins.
I got a question.
I agree with that.
I agree with that
Now,
too. Yes, sir.
the first part of it, when she said, the people who think that the world is at the end.
Yes.
End times.
The end times. She must haven't read Revelations then. I'm just saying, she must haven't read Revelations. Because she read Revelations, she'll understand what people are saying is at the end time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
A lot of people are relating, like people study this big time, and a lot of people are relating the things that are happening in the world to what's in the Bible and the order of all that. So a lot of people are on that boat that we are in the end.
Yeah, and that's true. But what I'm going to say is I agree with her point that the world has always been evil, but has it been as evil as it is now? I don't think so, because as we progressively move forward in the world, different things change. Because think about a lot of the laws, that things that were illegal, that were immoral, and things now we have legalized, and we're glorifying these things. So I think the presence of evil and the celebration and the glorification of evil right now is an acceptance of evil is at an all-time high.
I agree with you 100%. What I was going to say is, you said the acceptance, and I would say the cooperation with
Yes.
evil. So there's a lot of things that we cooperate with that we know is just flat out evil, but we just let it go.
Yeah.
Right.
And people don't realize, if it's some drama jumping off in the room next door and you don't step in, your silence is making you just as guilty as the person in the room.
Right.
Correct.
You turning your head to it, especially those of us that are believers and Christians. We're supposed to stand up and speak up, etc. But when we don't,
And I just had
we're
a conversation.
cooperating with evil.
Yeah, I just had a conversation with a pastor about that. Is that, the believers and even the church has a bad habit of just minding their own business. They don't come out and stand up anymore. Yeah. So I think, and that allows evil to go. That allow evil to progress, because, we just sit back. If it don't concern me, it don't concern me.
Well, I mean, I look at it like this: if it's an evil around you, it does concern you, because it can that influence that keeps going. You know what I'm saying? It rubs off and goes to the next and goes to the next. It's just like if you spread love, it trickles to the next person. And and when you do evil or you spread evil, it trickles to the next person. So it's in your dwellings, it consumes you.
Right. Yeah. And when we talk about the world being scary or violent or whatever she's saying in that message, I believe that it has always been like this, because everything stems from hate. Hate came from somewhere.
And so
hate started. As long as we have people who hate, we're going to have a world that's full of that. And I think we're just seeing it more now because there's more technology. So now it's on video, in our faces, everywhere we look. So that's all we see is violence.
That's right, Jill. And you said starting with hate. So even if we go beyond that, or I'll say all the way to the beginning. So if we think about when man was disobedient to God, so that wasn't necessarily hate, but the act of disobedience sometimes provokes evil.
Right.
And so, when she says, they were evil way back then. And so now we're just woke to it.
Exactly.
And,
the Bible uses sleep. You know how they say, no, they weren't dead. They're sleeping. And so, sometimes we refer to the churches even as the sleeping giants.
Right.
So I just think that this season, things are just put out there so boldly that it's just more noticeable.
Right.
So, it's not that we're awake. Is that it's so blatant in your face. Even if we talk about homosexuality, at one point it was hidden.
Right.
And so people didn't have to speak about it so much and talk about it and even be afraid to speak about it.
Yeah.
Because it was in the closet. It was, think about it. People had skeletons in the closet.
Right.
They kept them in the closet.
Right.
Now everybody trying to see who can bring out the most skeletons.
Right. And glorify it and live in it.
Yeah. So I think that's what we are.
When you think the way that the world is shaping up now, and the reason that a lot of people don't have morals because we ain't got numb to the fact of what's going on.
Yeah. And I would say that. And we got a couple of comments. I'm gonna read two back to back because they're in the same generation and they have opposing points of view, but they do agree on a lot of things. The first one is from William. William says, I'm 77 and I feel the same way. I witnessed the erosion of our freedoms and liberties over the course of my lifetime. If we don't stand up now, I'm afraid our country is doomed. And then there's
Okay, wait. Our country is doomed if we don't stand up.
Stand up.
We need to start saying something.
Start saying something, bucking the system, not accepting the things. And go ahead.
I'm just saying, so start saying something. We've been saying something. People saying something.
But on a lot of things.
I'm saying, but it seems like we need to move beyond saying something. True. So then what do we do? So that's the question.
Right.
So I respect that comment, and I think it's an awesome comment. Yeah. But the question is, so what is the solution? So not saying something.
Right.
We need to.
Right. A lot of sayers and not a lot of doers.
You need action. It's just straight up action and get to the point where.
Yeah, but are we bold enough to do that?
Right.
Well,
I'm putting myself in the same category.
Yeah. That's where the system got us to the point where we say this, we say it, but when it comes to action, we're not bold enough because we're scared of the system bucking back because of the system is so big.
Wow.
But versus the biggest thing I would say is the strength is in numbers.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we move in numbers, not in individuals, the system can buck back, but we'll buck harder.
Okay, but before you go to that next point, Clarence, I just want to say this. So as we were talking about that and trying to figure out what the solutions are, I can't help but think about the fact that even our God who knows all things, he gave man free will. For a reason.
Correct.
And even in that, and thinking about the word evil, knowing and realizing that the word evil simply means the absence of good. Mm-hmm. So if that is true, and he gave man free will, then who are we, with the Almighty being as strong as he is, that knows everything and knows the end at the beginning, who are we to think or believe that we can actually say or do something that's going to make a difference? Mm-hmm.
Well,
I'm just saying. So we can do it. I
got a point.
I would love.
I got a point before I go to that.
Just one sec, Clarence. We have some viewers, and Sequoia. She wrote, "The lack of obedience provokes hate." Said that she loves that. So that's what you were. That's exactly what you were talking about. Dexter. Hi, Dexter.
Yeah.
All of our viewers.
Yeah. But to answer that, and I'm going to say, when you say we're going to stand up and what's next. Now, I got to give this section of the church credit. The diocese, and I don't know exactly where in New Jersey this is, but the Diocese of the Catholic Church in the city of New Jersey stripped a middle school of its Catholic status because they would not remove the LBGT flag from their campus. Mm-hmm. So they are no longer allowed to say that they're a Catholic school. So now people say that's not right or what. I believe if they believe that, if they're going to stand on it, if that's their principle of standing, they have to stand on that. And for the diocese to do that, that's an act of standing up. It's not an act of hate against the LGBT, as many people say. It's just that this is our belief. This is our organization.
This is where we stand.
This is where we're going to draw the line.
Yes.
But when we do that, people say we're the hate mongers now. We're the ones. But I got to agree that that's a stand up, and I got to commend that Catholic diocese for doing that.
You look at it like if we stand up for what we believe in versus somebody else, we're the bad guys. Mm-hmm. And okay, let me be the bad guy because I'm gonna stand up for what I believe in. If I don't stand for something, I'll fall for anything. And that's the biggest thing. They want us to fall for anything. Now, if I don't fall for anything, I'm rude. I'm ghetto, I'm loud, or you know what I'm saying, I'm defensive and all this other stuff. Well, let me be all that because I'm gonna stand on what I stand on.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and this is, I'm just going to read this one real quick. And this one was from D. She's in the same age as William. She says, I agree totally. It wasn't this bad. I'm 74 years old. And yes, there have always been evil people, but it's getting now that laws are put in place that try to make evil much more acceptable. And that's what we're saying.
What we're talking about.
You know, that's what we're saying, and I agree. But that's two people from the same generation from different
Yeah.
points of view.
Yeah.
And I know we all have our different points of view, but they saw a whole lot in their 70 plus years. So from the civil rights movement, from, you know, Jim Crow, I'm sure that they've seen a whole lot. Even from, you know, most recently Black Lives Matter and the deaths of, you know, they've seen it. So they have a broad spectrum of it. So, I mean, from those two generations, well, that one generation, 2 points of view, you know, we can talk about, we're all going to see it differently. We're all going to see it differently.
Right.
You got one, Jill?
Yeah, I do. I have one from Sam, and he says, I don't think we've had the levels of deception of those in power historically, but you are right. People are waking up. So, you know, he's talking about those people in power that we talk about all the time. And when we are standing up, it usually is against people in power. And that's the thing is, you know, getting the leadership in the right places. And when he talks about deception, I mean, I think the people in power have always been corrupt. I just think we're seeing it more. And like those two people in their late 70s, here's what I say to that. I know they've seen a lot, but there's also a lot that they haven't seen. So, for example, do you really think that George Floyd didn't happen a ton before it was on video? We just knew about it because it was on video. But there's probably been thousands of George Floyd incidents.
Right.
And we didn't see them because people didn't have their phones out. So I think that it's always been this way, but now people are recording it. It's more real. You're seeing the police kill an unarmed, you know, black child. You're seeing this. It's all in your face.
That's right.
It's been there.
That's right. And then if we go to the other side of things, so obviously people are having mental illnesses and different issues dealing with their mental that is coming forth. But then when you think from that perspective, think consciously that some of us now, we're just operating from a more conscious perspective. And so when you do that, then you're actually operating from not just a physical, but emotional and spiritual realm. And so when you're consciously woke to things, it affects you in a different way.
Yep, absolutely. 100%.
Yes.
And Jill, Jim gave a comment in congruent with what you were saying. It says, yes, the world has always been evil, but we've never before had technology in place for the prophecies of the end of time to be fulfilled. And we've never had a worldwide or over-the-top boldness of evilness like this before. Yes, boldness, over the top. Let's talk about this.
Yes.
The war that's going on. I mean, boldly evil.
Yeah.
Bold evil. This war is going on because this one man, his country was even against him. A lot of his country was even against him going into this war. But this one man felt that he needed to take over this country, and there's this war. Just the evil thought of, I'm going to take over another country for no reason, no rhyme or reason that we're aware of. Not saying that there's not one, but there's still not a good rhyme or reason just to start a war.
Right.
But he decided in his mind that I'm going to start a war.
Because in his mind, he is unconscious to evil. So sometimes when you're asleep to evil, you have made up in your own mind that what you're doing is right. It's not as corrupt as other people think. And so that's his mindset. He has his reasons. He believed that this is the right thing to do. Eventually, whether it's right for today or right for the future, he believes that the time is now to do what he's doing. And so, yes, he's to blame. And, you know, we all know the man has lost it. But the facts are, when you look deeper to somebody who's operating from an unconscious perspective, he is out of his source. And so evil doesn't look like evil when you're thinking from that perspective.
Exactly. And, you know, people that are in power, he's obviously a powerful man to, you know, put this in place and carry it out. So think about if somebody that had that much power, if you possess that much power over everything, why wouldn't you use that power towards something wonderful? If you can cause a war, you can feed the poor. So basically,
he's thinking that what he's doing is wonderful. I mean, from his perspective, his mind perspective, he's doing what he feels that is right.
That's
and
right.
like you said, he don't see the evil.
No, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if anybody has a conscience, you know when something that you're not doing right. You can feel it. If you have a conscience, you have a good sense.
He might feel that he's doing right.
No, you got a good sense of when you're wrong. You should.
You know how many people can justify what they do if you give them the time to do it? And it could make sense if you listen to what they have to say.
Honestly.
So, but my point is, I don't agree with what he's doing. But I'm saying when you actually step back and you rationalize and you try to figure out what's going on for real in the world, or so as Candace concern or question, comment, as far as the world and the timing and what happened back then versus now, I'm saying that this is deeper than us. So even when the Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, this is so much more than what we actually see, is what I'm saying. So there's a different realm that is going on that we have to be consciously woke to as we move through.
I'll give you that.
That's the only thing.
Doors of the church is open.
I have a refreshing comment from Kevin. And he said, our awakening is not our hope. Jesus is our hope. Yes. We are in the end times. It has not always been this evil. Evil is increasing not just in government, but throughout society. If you read the Bible, you would see that prophecy is unfolding quickly. Now is the time to repent, put your faith in Jesus, and follow him with all of your heart. So basically, he's saying our awakening is not our hope. Our hope is Jesus. So that's another another perspective.
Yes.
And that should be true. But let's think about Jesus in the world. Let's think about, and I'm gonna use religion for the sense of what it is, not, but religion in the world has become so passé. And it's also being watered down or dismissed in certain areas. You can't teach religion in school, but you can teach the LGBTQ history, but you cannot teach religion in school. They even took the little trailer. Remember they used to have the little trailer where it was optional for you to go out to that little trailer for religious education. They totally eliminated that, but they're going to tell you we can teach your children about the LGBT history makers in the LGBT community. But we can't allow you to have the option to go out to a trailer that is technically no longer on school property to get this religious education. But, so they're taking Jesus out of everything. They want to take in God we trust off the money. Okay. I mean, so many different things that they're trying to erase the belief out of society.
And add things to it that are now considered normal. They're normalizing those.
Yeah. So when you say they, I want to say, who are they? And are you referring to the government or who when you say they are taking and removing? Okay. Because I'm thinking you might be talking about the government too. The
government in a sense, because they have the power to do that. Okay. But there are forces and there are political, non-governmental political aspects that are pushing the government to make these changes.
Okay. So I'm saying, just like we were looking at the crazy things that's happening in Russia, right? And so with that leadership, I don't even want to say its name. Okay, so we know all of that's going on. But then when we look and we do a comparison or a contrast comparison, look at the things that we do, the United States. We do when it comes to, let's just say, trafficking on all levels. Look how evil that is, whether it's to get organs, or the sex trafficking, whatever's going on with the trafficking. Right. They know about this. But they have known about this.
But they don't want to do this.
They don't do anything about it. They could.
But
drug trafficking. Yeah. So they let certain things happen for so long. They let evil go for so long
Right.
until they have to do something. And when they do something, it's not in a big way. It's just a little bit. So, we're paying attention. We're doing something,
Right.
but it's not in a big way. So all I'm saying is there's so many different types of evil that when you start trying to size up whose evil is bigger or worse,
Sin is sin.
you
Sin
have
is sin.
Yeah.
all I'm saying is you have to call a spade a spade.
Right.
And so evil is evil because the absence of good equals evil. So whether it's our country or somebody else's country, if we're going to turn a blind eye, we're going to turn our backs like our government does to trafficking and all the other negative things and how we get all these opioids and all these crazy things, and we got spice in our communities killing people and got people walking around like zombies.
Right.
If we're going to turn a blind eye to that and we don't stand up and fight for that, then we may as well leave that crazy man alone in Russia.
Yeah.
You are absolutely
I'm
right.
just saying. And so all we have is the word of God and believing and hoping, and that's where I stand.
Anyone pass a collection plate down? Because she preaching today.
Two questions. Yes, sir.
First question is, man, is there more profit monetary wise in evil or good?
Evil, absolutely correct.
Well, the commercialism of evil. I mean, we as a society, we devour things that are bad by the gallon. Think about it. The question is it more profitable for America in evil or in good? What profits the most? And think about it. It's evil. We feed off of. We feed off of. That's why World Star blew up. That's why, all these TV shows where they're fighting, Bad Girls Club, these sensual shows like Temptation Island and things.
And Love and Hip Hop and all of the negative and even comments get the most views and hype. So
and they get the most commercials and they get the most
absolutely.
They get the most sensationalism, but good stuff get washed under the rug or it's very minimalized because there's more profit. I remember at a time that you didn't see a man and wife kiss on TV or sleep in the same bed on TV. But now every TV show, every commercial, everything you see has same-sex couples. Everyone.
All kinds of stuff.
And some of them are way over the top. And some of them are not on cable TV. Some of them are on regular TV. I remember at a time they didn't really cuss on TV, but you can watch regular TV.
They cuss like sailors on TV now.
Regular TV.
Yeah.
So the freedoms and the profit comes because that's what we want to see. That's what we want. That's what we tend to gravitate to.
Because what? We have a diseased conscience.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right. You're absolutely correct.
Right.
Because we to the point where our conscience is basically numb.
Listen, we're looking for it. You can sit in church and see people all day on their phones and they're addicted. And so, we're woke, but we're asleep.
Yeah.
I'm saying we're dead in the spirit realm. And so you see people and they put the phone down for a second, pick it right back up. And they just can't help it. They're addicted. And you look and you can see people's phones. You're shopping.
Yeah.
You're looking at text messages. You're looking at Facebook. You're not listening to the word of God.
And also
I'm just saying,
to answer that
we have a
question, and
disease
you
in our
mentioned
minds.
Facebook and things like that. Facebook let hate groups stay on Facebook. But if you positively say something about uplifting the black race or, different things like that, they'll mute you or they'll stop you.
Yeah.
But all of these black fights, all of this other stuff,
Oh, yeah.
they'll let that run for
Yeah.
day in
That's
and day out. That young man, we talked about this not too long ago, the young man that fell off that roller coaster.
Yeah.
They ran that
Wow.
until
Yeah.
somebody finally said, have a conscience and take
Glad
it
I
off.
never saw it.
It was over 2 million views
Yeah.
before they decided to take that off.
That's-
because they knew we wanted to see that.
And that's right, because I could punch you in your head right now. That'll blow up. Everybody
Right.
want to see it. They can't believe it.
Let's
Everybody's
do
going to
it.
talk about it and pass it along.
Right.
Wow.
Right? But let me play Planet Rock and they're going to shut it down.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
They're
like
going to
that.
snatch it off. Or say something positive and things like that.
Yes.
One more
Yes.
question.
When a child is born, evil and good are present.
Yes.
Can evil consume a seed at birth?
The question is, and get this, when a child is born,
Good question.
there's evil and there's good. But can evil consume a child at birth?
I think you can. if good could consume a child at birth, why can't evil?
Yeah.
It can get in your genes.
I mean,
And
it's
I'm
in
just
your
saying,
DNA. I mean, you think about it.
environment.
Well, hold on. Here's the funny part about it.
I'm going to argue your point, but go ahead.
Here's the biggest thing. We were born into sin out the gate. When God cast the devil onto the earth, He gave him all realms of the earth.
Right.
So at the end of the day, guess what? The evil is amongst the earth all out the gate. Mm-hmm. So I mean, if good is there and evil is there, it could go either way.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I was going to go biblical with you because is it Jacob and Esau? They were in the womb when one of them conned the other one out of his birthright. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they were in the womb.
Yeah.
So, yes, as you say it is, yes, it can be. But it also, I believe that spirits are passed on. They're genetically inherited sometimes. Mm-hmm. So if the attitude and the spirit of that mother or that father, I mean, you get those traits. You get that gene. You are in that genealogy. Yeah. So I do believe that can happen.
And I know for a fact that can happen because if a mother is pregnant and you say the ABCs to the baby, to her tummy, because I did it with one of my nieces, and that baby comes out knowing the ABCs. That means whatever that mother is ingesting and living
and consuming
and listening to, and all her gates are open to.
The baby is here.
Yeah. So if evil creeps in, and all evil has to have is a foothold, you don't have to have an open door. Just that crack is enough to get in. So once it's in there, it's in there. Yeah. And so just like that baby is eating the food and all those nutrients, the good stuff, baby's also taking in all the negative. So that's why you have to protect your gates even during birth. Yes.
Yes.
So I believe that. So mommies, be careful what you are open to. Yes. Guard your bodies, your heart.
And that's so profound. And we could be here all night, but we're going to go ahead and move on up out of here. And the one is, in Doc V, we're going to go off of this. Kim is one of those that commented, and this is what we're all saying. Is the world evil? Exactly. But Jesus is coming back soon. So if you believe, if you trust, you know that this is just a season. It's a time. Mm-hmm. You do not have to engage. You don't have to engage. Mm-hmm. But it's our choice. You talked about free will, Doc V. We choose most of our paths. And a lot of our paths lead us to this evil. Make your choice right. Make the right choice. You can shun evil. You can flee from evil. But too many times, it feels good. It tastes good. It looks good. So we follow that trend. Make the right choice. That's all you have to do. You don't have to be evil. You don't have to be. Mm-hmm. As there's good, there's evil. It's a choice. Everything in life is a choice. So what is your choice? As we say, always protect your mind. Have a good night.